We live in a time where remakes and remasters are the norm, and nostalgia is thriving. That said, I can't say I had a sequel to Gimmick, a 1992 NES release, on my bingo card this year. The original title is beloved by those who have experienced it, but for your average run-of-the-mill gamer, they may not even know it ever existed. Gimmick, or Mr. Gimmick in Scandinavia, put players in control of a yokai named Yometaro. With 16-bit games dominating the market at that time, Gimmick failed to catch on with critics despite the fact that it was pretty advanced as far as NES titles go. While the developers pushed the limits of what NES graphics and sound could be, the character was deemed too bizarre for North American audiences, which in retrospect seems like an odd conclusion to come to, and Gimmick sadly only seemed to gain recognition and praise years after its release. But it's 2024 now, and somehow Yometaro has returned in this unlikely sequel. Yes, miracles happen, as today we are reviewing Gimmick 2, which sounds really strange to say out loud. But is Gimmick 2 just that? A nostalgia grab gimmick? Or is it a shining star? Well, let's find out in our full review. Real quick, don't fall for the gaming echo chambers gimmicks. Like the video and subscribe to the channel, then consider heading over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames to gain Discord access to the greatest indie gaming community, early ad-free shows, and more. Your new community is waiting for you. While the original Gimmick found itself in a unique situation where the developers were trying to drain the NES of every last resource in order to produce a product that wouldn't feel out of place, Gimmick 2 ironically feels fresh and exciting today while paying wonderful tribute to the past. You'll once again control Yometaro, an adorable toy-like creature that is a companion to a young girl. Upon falling asleep next to her adorable little friend one evening, an evil wizard appears and snatches the girl away. This leads to you having to pursue the wizard through 6 different worlds across 4 to 6 hours or so of gameplay depending on how many collectibles you wish to seek out, and of course your personal skill level. Gimmick 2, at its core, is a puzzle platformer, but what makes the game unique from other titles within the genre is Yometaro's unique ability to summon a star. This star can then be hurled towards enemies, bounced off of walls, and can even be rode on. The star is a massive aspect of the gameplay, essential to progressing forward. While how you go about it feels rather different, your main goal is the same as any other platformer. You need to traverse through worlds that are broken up into sections, take down bosses, and ultimately be reunited for Snuggles. Gimmick 2 features outstanding level design and physics that make the game an absolute joy to play through. You'll hurl your stars towards enemies, navigate perilous platforming sections, and solve a variety of puzzles that mostly involve utilizing the game's incredible physics system. Enemies range from basic creatures that try to hinder your progress and get in your way, to other types that hurl arrows towards you, or even have armor and can only be struck from behind. The challenge comes from aiming the star itself, which isn't exactly a straight shot. Jumping into the air and slamming your star towards the ground will have it bouncing wildly, with the angle of your shot being paramount to your success. All the while, your environment might be out to get you as well. Platforms will crumble underneath Yometaro at times, but thankfully the core mechanics feel phenomenal throughout this game, making each mistake feel like yours to own. Yes, Gimmick 2 can often require precise inputs from the player, but it is very forgiving, at least depending on which difficulty you choose. The lower difficulty option will allow Yometaro to sustain multiple hits of damage, while fans of the original will be pleased to know that the game's original brutal challenge is also an option should you want to test yourself. Regardless, checkpoints are well implemented, keeping the flow of gameplay moving along at a nice brisk pace. But where Gimmick 2 truly shines, pun intended, is in its puzzle elements. As one example, you may need to perfectly bounce your star to a designated spot on the screen to get a platform to appear. Made that jump? Great, but not so fast. You may need to quickly swap the star again, and again, and again to make it to where you ultimately want to be. Hitting the perfect shot with your star feels unbelievably satisfying. The game also throws other hurdles in your path, as you may find yourself running from a massive snowball while carefully having to hop along, surviving an enemy rush, or battling bosses, which are simple in design when compared with the rest of the game, but fun to take down nonetheless. If all of this weren't enough, Gimmick 2 is chock full of secret treasures. Many of these are cosmetics that make Yumetaro even more adorable looking, but they are all challenging to discover and they feel rewarding. Factor in that the game tracks your completion percentage, and players will undoubtedly want to seek out 100% completion in this one. Whether I was activating switches, running for my life, or carefully analyzing a situation, Gimmick 2 consistently kept me on my toes. What's even more exciting is the fact that solutions can come in a variety of different ways, so I greatly look forward to seeing how other players progress through it. Gimmick 2 features bright and colorful visuals that are vibrant and downright adorable. Each world feels unique from the last, whether it be a snowy landscape, a fiery cave, or an undersea adventure. I looked forward to every new environment that I came across. Animations are lovely, enemy designs cute as all hell, and there's a lot of smaller details in the background that bring the entire project to life. But what really heightens the mood is a masterful soundtrack from the legendary David Wise. Here he calls back to his aquatic ambience days with peaceful, playful melodies and gorgeous flutes. Wise playfully remasters classic Gimmick tunes as well, with a fantastic rendition of the original theme song. For as good as the game plays, it looks and sounds the part too. More good news, performance was excellent throughout. I did not experience any crashes or glitches, and playing on Steam Deck is a wonderful way to experience the game too, as I was getting a locked 60 FPS during my testing. Gimmick 2 is a brilliant puzzle platformer that caught me completely off guard. Its smart level design and physics, sound mechanics, beautiful visuals, and stunning soundtrack come together to create one of my favorite experiences of 2024. The only real negative that I can think of is that I wish it didn't end. As many of you know, here at I Dream of Indie Games, we believe games are so much more than a number, which is why we review our titles based on a Genie tier system, with Bronze being a good game, Silver being a great game, and the Golden Genie lamp for essential releases that you just can't afford to miss. We also have the Rusty lamp for those mediocre titles that show an ever so slight glimmer of hope, and the Indie Krampus for titles you should avoid. When it comes to Gimmick 2, I am awarding this one the Golden Genie Lamp of Approval, essential for your gaming library so long as you love this genre.